Let's talk about Money in the Bank 2019, a somewhat newsworthy show with a couple of good matches and a couple of surprises in the show. This was, of course, the first pay-per-view since WrestleMania, and I gotta be honest with y'all, and I know I'm not the only one, WWE's been quite uneventful for the past few weeks. Ever since the Superstar Shakeup show, things have been really, really weird. They've been making weekly changes to their own rules, and I know a lot of people, besides just myself, have really lost interest in the product. Even though I'm really happy that Seth, Rollins, and Kofi Kingston are champions, and they have a lot of great wrestlers there, and there's good things about the product. Becky Lynch also, I feel like it's just become pretty stale and somewhat just uninteresting and also confusing. They change the rules very, very often. But tonight I did check out Money in the Bank, and overall it was a pretty decent show, and like I said, a newsworthy show to say the least. The big pieces of, well, first of all, as far as the quality of the show goes, it was an okay show. I would say it's a thumbs in the middle leading up, in the sense of, it was good, not great, but there was some greatness here. Specifically, the Seth Rollins AJ Styles match was the highlight of the show, plus the two Money in the Bank matches I thought were absolutely fantastic. But there's some weird things they did and other things that were just there. There were some weird booking decisions that they made, but there were some that I thought were pretty clever. Now, the show, like I said, the best matches were the Money in the Bank matches. The women's Money in the Bank did open up the show, the main card anyways. And of course, Bayley won. Very brutal match. The women took a lot of really scary bumps. There were some sloppy stuff here, but that when you have a sloppy ladder match, when it's Money in the Bank, that's actually a good thing because it makes it seem more chaotic. You know what I'm saying? So you can criticize things like that here and there. I just feel like when you do something like a ladder match with multiple people, it's okay to make it a car crash. But when Bayley won, I just knew they were going to have her cash in at some point and go heel. Now, I'm not saying she went heel tonight, but they've been teasing a Bayley heel turn for quite some time now, since she first went to SmackDown, and now it looks to be coming to fruition based on what happened later on in the show. And what happened later on in the show was they did Becky Lynch with two matches in a row back to back, which I did not think they were going to do. She wrestled Lacey Evans, and she wound up defeating Evans, essentially controversial, but not so controversial that it's going to lead to a future match, I'm sure, but it also, they were trying to go for a gimmick here, and it just felt like it was, I guess, just a whatever kind of finish. The feud between Becky and Lacey is probably not over yet. Now, what happened after was interesting. So what happens is Charlotte comes out, and we have the SmackDown Women's title match right after. They have the Raw Women's title match, then the SmackDown Women's title match, because Becky had to defend both belts. And what ended up happening was Charlotte comes out, defeats Becky, because Becky was really tired from the previous match. That was kind of the story they were trying to tell us, that defending the two different championships in back-to-back matches, especially against somebody as good as Charlotte, is impossible. And that does make logical sense with how good Charlotte is and how well she's been portrayed as this killer wrestler. So Charlotte wins the belt, and then what ends up happening is they beat down Becky Lynch, and then Bayley runs in with the briefcase, nails Evans, knocks down Flair, then goes for the cash-in, and Bayley won the SmackDown Women's title. Now, I don't think she's going to go heel after seeing the way she did it, but I do think we're going to get a Charlotte versus Bayley feud on SmackDown now. That seems to be what makes the most sense. What I found surprising is the fact that Becky winds up getting both belts at WrestleMania, and I thought she was going to have them both for at least some time, but it looks like now she's going to end up just having the one, which I get it. I just thought she would have a longer title reign than that. So that was interesting. And then, of course, the men's Money in the Bank, which closed the show, wound up being a wacky, unpredictable surprise finish, even though it was kind of predictable because WWE did promote the Lesnar versus Seth Rollins Saudi Arabia match already before the show even started. But basically, they had an eighth person, because what happened was it was supposed to be Sami Zayn in the match, but he got taken out by Strowman, so instead, Lesnar became the replacement, and what ended up happening was Ali was about to win. Mustafa Ali was about to win the title. Then Lesnar's music plays. He runs out, beats up Ali, grabs the briefcase. Big surprise finish. A good surprise finish, I think. And now we're going to have Lesnar cashing it in against Seth Rollins at the Saudi Arabia show. So it's just, both Money in the Bank briefcases are going to be pretty much done by by early next month, by June. So no more surprise cash-ins for a whole year. And that's the way that they're doing this, very short term. I was thinking they were going to hold on to the Money in the Bank briefcase for at least one of these people, so that way when they have the live SmackDown show coming up on Fox later on this year, they were going to do the cash in on that show and kind of start that season off with a big, you know what I'm saying, like a big surprise. Like, I really expected that show to start with that kind of cash in, and it would have made sense, but no, they want to get this wrapped up and done. That's what they're doing. So Lesnar versus Seth Rollins will be the match at Saudi Arabia. Seth versus AJ Styles was a really good match, probably the best match of the show. I was not into this feud at all, even though I like both wrestlers a lot, but these guys went out there and really, really kicked ass. It felt like an NXT TakeOver main event with two great wrestlers. It was just fantastic. Then they had some really unusual booking. So Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio. I'm not going in order. I'm just going to tell y'all like the good and the bad. Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio. Rey beats him in like 90 seconds. Like, I guess they're trying to play up the WrestleMania thing. I don't know why they did this to Joe. The whole story was that Joe's shoulder was actually up and that the referee didn't see it. The ref missed the spot, even though that's all going to be kayfabe. It's all going to be part of the storyline. So they will do rematches. Joe got pissed off, beat up Rey Mysterio, and then Dominic came out. So are they doing a Dominic Samoa Joe match, bro? I don't care about seeing that. I do not care about seeing Eddie Guerrero's son, wink wink, against Samoa Joe. I'm sorry. I'd rather see Joe and Rey. All right, and then we had the Shane McMahon cage match with The Miz. Like, I'm just shocked that Shane won again. Like, the whole thing pointed that this match was going to end up with Miz finally winning the feud, but I guess that's just not what they're gonna go for at all. That's just not what they're going for. I thought it was okay. I love the WrestleMania match a lot more. This was good, but cage matches nowadays in WWE are just not what they used to be, because Hell in a Cell and other kinds of gimmick cages, the Elimination Chamber, have kind of replaced it as far as being the truly dangerous match in the company. So I wasn't that into it, but it was okay. And again, more of the referee being incompetent stuff. That's like 3 times now on this show we've seen bad reffing, so I guess it's going to be the storyline here. Tony Nese against Aria Daivari. Good match. Not much time, but it was fine. I do kind of miss Buddy Murphy being champion. What else happened? Roman Reigns and Elias. Roman Reigns beat Elias in like 9 seconds. So we have like 2 squash matches now on pay-per-views. WWE has been in a habit of doing this a lot more often since the Sheamus Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 28 debacle. They do this a lot, and it's kind of getting old now. Lesnar did it for a while, and it was kind of cool, but it really is kind of played out now that they have squash matches on pay-per-views. I'm okay with them doing it once in a while, but it seems like they do it way, way, way too often. And it really did nothing for Elias and nothing for Roman Reigns. He just speared him and beat him. That's it. It was nothing. Like, this doesn't help either guy at all. It almost felt like a burial of Elias. I don't know if he pissed somebody off. I have no idea, but just felt I don't know if it was a time constraint thing, just really weird. Then they had a very unusual segment where they had Kalisto, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado come out, the Lucha House Party, and Lars Sullivan comes out to beat him up. Now, those of you who don't know, Lars Sullivan has been quite the controversial figure for the past few weeks because they found out this like old stuff he said on the internet years ago, and they vilified him for it, which honestly, what he said was wrong, but he shouldn't be paying fines now because of it, because it was so many years. It's like a James Gunn thing, so many years ago. But also, it's one of those things where they had to do it for the sponsors to look good for them, and there you go. So they know that this guy Lars has like this history of saying, screwed up racial things. Then they booked him in there against 3 minorities to beat them up. I don't understand why they would do that. And it was good the way that he came out and actually headbutted them and busted himself open. It's good seeing blood on WWE TV once in a while. Made him like a real savage. He headbutted him for real, though, which makes me really be worried about Lars Sullivan as far as, taking care of his opponent goes. But it worked for him, even though it was a little weird seeing WWE do that. Again, wrestling is very, very self-aware, I guess you can say. Wrestling is unself-aware. That's what I meant to say. It's very unself-aware and or trolling, and that's kind of the way I saw it. And then they had Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens, which was decent. I don't think it was as great as I was expecting it to be. They didn't have that much chemistry. Kevin Owens is a great worker, but it's weird that he's had some feuds that haven't been that great in this company. Like the AJ Styles feud, I thought was a little bit of a letdown. Same thing with like the Daniel Bryan feud. It wasn't that great at all. The one from a couple years ago or last year, a couple years ago, last year. It was last year, whatever. It was just whatever. Like it's weird how sometimes he doesn't click. But this here was okay. It was okay. Could have been better. Kofi Kingston pretty much won with the Trouble in Paradise, and it was a cool little like finish, you know. He did a swanton to double knees, then Kofi hit the Trouble in Paradise right to the jaw, and that feud is over. So I don't know if they're going to be doing Kofi against, like, Bryan is the tag champ, so I don't know if they're going to go back to that right away, but I don't know if they're going to do Kofi and AJ now that they have guys going back and forth on brands, or if they're going to rematch these guys, or what they're going to do. But, you know, that was the show. Overall, I think the ladder matches are worth watching. Seth Rollins versus AJ is worth watching. Everything else is not really that great, I don't think. Charlotte and Becky could have had a much better match, and they probably will at some point in the future, but it was all an angle to set up the whole, you know, thing with the cash in and whatnot. That it makes sense to me. It's just one of those things where it just wasn't that great of a show, but it wasn't terrible. It was like thumbs in the middle, leaning up. That's the way I see it. So, anyways, that's it. What did you think about Money in the Bank? Did you like it? Did you think it was sucked? Like I said, decent show, but just not a great one. If you skip it, it's fine, but you definitely got to watch AJ and Seth. You got to watch that, yo. And the ladder matches were brutally crazy. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.